Hi everyone, I'm Dana Ponsky from Dana Ponsky Consulting Services and your guide to college. I'm usually with Nicole Walberg from Walberg College Counseling, but today I'm going to be taking over our talk and having a conversation with life coach Tanai Milgram. I'm really excited to be able to share this 20 minutes with you and with Tanai. I think she has a lot of really great resources and ideas for everybody, and I think that you're going to be really happy with the information that's going to help you and your students through not just the college process, but just getting through the teenage years. So with that being said,
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Let me see if I can get us over, because as usual, I was having a problem. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, so thank you for that beautiful introduction.
You're welcome.
I'm a life coach and I work with teens who are looking to grow their confidence, find their voice, and set and achieve their goals. Right now, especially teens are needing a lot of support. They're all back home and dealing with a lot of challenges that we're all dealing with. So this is what I'm committed to supporting right now. So I'll tell you a little bit about why I got into this.
Yes.
So when I was a teen, I know I did sufficiently well at school and I had a lot of great friends and an awesome relationship with my family, but my self-esteem was what kind of stopped me in many areas of my life. I wasn't super confident about my body. I wasn't happy about the lack of discipline I had at school, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to pursue in college. And I wasn't even sure how to really express my needs or my feelings. I thought it was better if I just dealt with it on my own. I didn't really do much about it besides listening to Green Day. So that's what really motivated me to go on my own self-help journey. And after 6 years of this journey of unlearning everything that, all these limiting beliefs that I told myself as a teen, I was finally able to, truly be self-expressed and feel comfortable sharing my needs and desires. And I thought, wow, imagine if I had done all of this as a teen, then instead of unlearning all these things, all this garbage that doesn't work for me, what if I had learned everything that worked for my success, Mm-hmm. So I thought, wow, I would love to empower teens to do that and, to train themselves to hear, the messages that will empower them. Because I think if teens knew how powerful they were, there's nothing that they couldn't do.
Right. So I'm curious in terms of this particular path that you went on. There's a lot of different ways working with teenagers. I do college counseling. There's people who do school counseling. There are people who are teachers. So why was it that life coaching was the particular path that you chose to go down, and how has that really helped informed the work that you do?
Yeah, so I personally have done a lot of life coaching, and coaching in particular, it's very different from therapy, which a lot of people can confuse the two. So therapy, you're taking something or someone that's dysfunctional and you're making it functional, as opposed to coaching where you're going from functional to optimal. Okay. Coaching can really work for anyone, because it's just, you might be getting by at school, but you're not living the life that you want. And coaching works by getting the client to find the answers for themselves. So, you listen to your client, acknowledge, validate, and all you do is ask questions. So my job is to ask questions. Their job is to find the answers within themselves, which I think is really important for teens who don't like ideas to be imposed on them. It's very important for them to have their own voice.
Right.
So coaching is a beautiful thing for them, because, it's a moment where they're confused and then they realize, wow, I had the answer in me all along. That's incredible.
Okay. Wonderful. So tell me, in terms of when working with teenagers as a particular population that you're find most appealing, what are the most important areas, or, where students are functional? What are those areas, and what are the areas of growth that you particularly work on with students? I think you've used the word with me, hallmarks. What are those? Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do students achieve that when they're working with you?
Yeah, great question. So among the teen coaching world, they say there's 4 hallmarks for an adolescent. And that's independence, identity, social connections, and future orientation. So I'll break it down one by one. So number one is independence. You know, for adolescents, it's extremely important for them to feel like they, you know, can make their own decisions, can separate from their parents, which is really important. Very important for them to have their own voice, make their own decisions. Then identity, very important for them to be able to know, who am I? What do I like? How am I different from my parents, from my friends, from my siblings? How can I identify myself by the things that I do and the people that I hang out with? And then social connections, obviously, this is the most important part of a teen. This is where they thrive. This is what motivates them every day. It's very important for them to create those friendships and groups that will support them. And then future orientation, you know, that feeling enthusiastic about prom or camp or starting college or starting the next year. So those are currently all areas of growth, especially right now. And I don't know, should I get into like the COVID situation?
Oh yeah, go right ahead. Yeah. Make my job easier.
Okay, perfect. So right now, all of these areas are being affected by the pandemic because, you know, independence, especially kids who were in college and are coming back, it's kind of like a baby who was walking and then went back to crawling. You know, like finally they go out to college, they're getting jobs, they're living alone, they're taking care of themselves, and then they're going back where they're now dependent again on their parents, financially too, because a lot of them have lost the jobs that they had in college. And that's even happening for kids in their 20s who have lost their jobs and have to go back home.
Right.
And then their identity, of course, teens are now the only people they're really interacting with, most of them, are their parents. So it's very hard for them to have that separation right now, you know, since they're living at home with them and being with them all day. Social connections, of course, especially for those who have friends whose parents are being less strict than theirs. It can be really hard on them to be at home with their parents and watching all their friends through social media.
Right.
You know, not have those restrictions. And then future orientation, I mean, that's one that's of course affecting all of us. We don't know when the next thing will be. Some kids, I'm sure you've seen, were not able to graduate. Some of them don't know they're going to go to college, or we're looking forward to live in a dorm for the first time, or start the next school year. And those are all things that are being very affected. So yeah, that's causing a lot of issues for teens right now.
Okay. My question to you is, especially with maybe college students, in addition to just what's going on in the world, there's a lot of students who are having to make decisions about whether they choose to stay at the college that they're going to be going to, or they're making the decision that maybe they need to leave, whether it's for financial reasons because there's so much going on in the world economically. Maybe it's reevaluating what they valued in terms of the school that they were at or how they were treated during this entire process. And in terms of, you know, I like when you said that, you know, functional to optimal. I actually wrote it down. And so I'm wondering, you know, you have a lot of students who are at that collegiate level who have been functioning really, really well, but this entire world situation has really changed up that perspective of the world and how they're feeling. So how do you as a coach kind of reaffirm that things were okay, and how do you help through the adaptation process to find something more optimal in the future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's also something that I do, and I also advise parents to do. So I think, you know, just like you said, they had this life going for them and it's been yanked away. And now it's like that sense of like, what do I do? This isn't fair. A lot of pressure on themselves, on like you said, make decisions. And as a coach, the most important thing is for them is to hear them, and for them to know that what they're feeling is completely valid, that it's absolutely normal for them to feel frustrated, for them to feel upset, for them to feel like it's not fair, like no one understands them. You know, teens, especially now more than ever, they have all this pressure and anxiety to have things figured out. They know what to look forward to. Now they know the economic situation and how much, you know, is on them to find jobs and get into colleges. So step one really is listening to them without any judgment, and my job as a coach is having them feel like I'm not going to impose anything on them. I'm this non-judgmental, just open space to say, I understand, like what you're saying is completely normal. And how do we get you to regain that sense of control and power in yourself and create new structures in your life?
And in terms of students that are maybe, during the high school process and they're beginning, they come to me and they're like, I'm really stressed out about the college process. And a lot of my focus is on, keeping them moving through high school and making sure they're doing things related to college. But how does maybe your coaching and your philosophy fit in with, anybody who's doing college counseling? It could be a school counselor, it could be an independent counselor, but anybody who's going through this process, how do you think that your services and abilities to kind of work with students can be a really good complement to that? Because I think that a lot of families look at it as, I just need someone to get my kid, writing good essays and making sure their resumes are together and the application is well edited. But on the flip side, I know that for me, their social emotional well-being is really important. But how do you, serve as a kind of a complement to that? What offerings do you have that could help a family recognize how valuable your services are in addition to or complementing college counseling?
Great question. I think you can agree that you grow up and the most common thing people say is like, oh, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, like through college, before college. So that's a big thing, as a coach, I help teens discover what it is that they really want. And a lot of times that can be fogged up by inner blocks is what they're called, such as limiting beliefs, assumptions, an inner gremlin, which is like that monster inside you that's telling you you're not good enough.
Right.
So it's really important to see the why. Why do you want to go to this school? What matters to you? What are you looking for? How can you feel empowered about this process? What messages are you telling yourself? A lot of teens feel that pressure from their parents to be a certain someone. And it's important for them to even acknowledge and recognize that, and acknowledge the fact that stress is coming from, wanting to please their parents. It's something that it's hard for a teen to admit, yeah, I want to please my parents, because really all you want to do is push your parents away. But that's in there, that's what drives all of us, really.
Right. And how do you take into consideration, there's cultural implications that come with coaching, because, families have very different structures and different expectations amongst their, with their students. And how do you kind of take into consideration the cultural aspect of things in terms of your coaching? Like, how are you able to kind of discern different cultural styles, different religious expectations on students? Because I think for a lot of families I work with, there's differences between sometimes, in families where there's that binary boy and girl, it's boys are treated slightly differently than girls, and that has an implication on how they see themselves and this entire process. So how do you kind of incorporate, cultural, I don't know the right word right now, but I think you understand, like, just the cultural competency that you have to be able to help students no matter what their background is? Yeah.
Wow. That's a very interesting question, because in coaching, we don't even consider that at all, because coaching is a process where you're finding the answers within yourselves. Okay. My job is to get someone, a teen, to see where their values come from, where their thoughts come from, where their beliefs come from. Okay. So I help them see where they're getting those thoughts and feelings. Who are they comparing them to? Where are they making assumptions from?
Okay. So then you can go ahead and then do that within the context of their cultural, religious, spiritual, in their own context. So it's finding those parts that it doesn't matter where they're coming from. Everyone has that, and just filling in. Exactly.
Like, for example, let's say you're talking to a teenage girl who isn't applying to Ivy League schools or like schools she's really impressed by, because growing up she was told that girls just don't have to try so hard, or girls don't aren't the ones that, you know, are the smart ones, and they're in the family. So it's really important for these teens to be making authentic choices, for the choices to come from an empowered place, a place where they feel like it's true to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important to discover like what beliefs are those choices coming from?
Okay.
Because all of our thoughts are rooted in beliefs.
Right.
Yeah. And then from the thoughts, we have feelings.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a very common model to use in coaching is like, here's the idea, here's the thought you have about it, the feelings it's causing you, and then how you're being because of those feelings.
Okay. Okay.
So I work with them to change the thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. So far, since you've been through this process, not only personally, but now professionally, what do you love about this? Like, what do you love about the world, you know, this particular career field? Because I know that there are and I'm talking about, you know, I'm always interested in people's jobs and why they do them and how they found them. And I can tell you there's not a lot of teenagers who, and even college students who are like, I want to be a life coach. They might say, I want to be a therapist, or they might say, I want to be, you know, a teacher or a counselor, or a college counselor. So my question to you is, now that you've been through this journey, what do you really is so different and new about this experience for you that's kind of been an aha moment and really just continually validates that this is the right thing for you now?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Honestly, the aha moments are my favorite part, you know, watching someone get to their own answer and having this breakthrough. It's like you've been living in a box and suddenly you stop seeing that box and you're like, oh my God, there's a whole world around me. And that's what I get to experience every time someone has a breakthrough, you know, especially with teenagers who don't think so introspectively all the time.
Yeah.
And it's nice for them to talk to me. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to fix you,
Right.
you know, but you want to be great. You want to have that relationship and you want to go to that school and you want to feel great about the friends that you have and you want to communicate with your parents when things are stressful. Mm-hmm. Don't you? And it's like, yeah, you know, and it's an amazing feeling to be able to champion someone to be the best version of themselves and the truest version of themselves, rather than like, you have problems and we need to fix them.
Right. So just for the audience who's like really resonating with everything that you're saying, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? We're going to share all this information like on our like YouTube series, and we're going to just just share it with everybody. But what is the best way for someone if they want to reach out because they're like, I really need to talk to Tanai. It's like everything she's saying is resonating. What should a student or a parent or anybody do in order to find you?
The best way to find me is on my website, which you can share with them. It's tanaimilgram.com. And from there you can set up a 20-minute free consultation call. Great. where we can see if it's a good fit. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. And is there anything else that you want to share with our audience? Any information that we haven't touched upon that you think is just really important at this point? And then I'm hopefully going to figure out this transitioning to our final page. It might be a mess. Sorry, everyone. Okay. Yeah, you know, if there are parents listening, I just want to stress again how important it is for teens to be validated. You know, for them to hear that their feelings are important and it's absolutely normal, that they're frustrated. It's important for them to be heard without being judged or criticized, and for them to know that, you know, not to tell them everything's going to be okay, but tell them you're going to be able to handle this and I'm here to support you. Right. You know, that's really all they need to hear. Wonderful. Wonderful. So thank you so much. And I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. Hopefully it works. There we go. And with that said, I just want to finish this off and thanks Tanai for a fantastic 20 minutes. Thank you. I am, like everyone knows, I'm Dana Ponsky from Dana Ponsky Consulting Services. You can find me on my website, Consult with Dana, and my phone number and email are here. And Nicole Walberg, who is also part of our team. She is from Walberg College Counseling at walbergcc.com. You can go ahead and reach out to her email and phone number on this sheet, and we will have all of our information in the comment section of our website as well. So thank you everyone for a wonderful opportunity to meet with Tanai, and I hope that you find this really helpful, and we'll be back next week with another topic for 20-minute tips and topics. Thanks everybody.